He tells Esther that Haman ordered a decree to have all the Jews killed and asked Esther, what are you going to do? She was the queen now. Don't think that you can avoid this destruction just because you're the queen. Basically, he's saying they're going to find you out. So what did Esther do? She went to the king. But keep in mind, you can't just go into the king's throne room without permission. Otherwise, you get struck down immediately. However, if you did go into the king's throne room unannounced and uninvited, the king, if he held up his golden scepter, that signaled his grace and that you were allowed in. So Esther went to the king. He held up his scepter and granted her access to his throne, and she laid her request before the king. This is the same thing that happens to us. John 6:65, Jesus says, this is why I told you that no one can come to me unless it is granted him by the Father. We come to faith because we have been granted access to his throne room. Granted. Granted. Go read John 6:65. I'm almost done. 1 Corinthians 2:14. The unspiritual man does not receive the gifts of the Spirit of God, for they are folly to him, and he is not able to understand them because they are spiritually discerned or spiritually judged. The unspiritual man, the unsaved man, cannot receive the gifts of the Spirit. Cannot. Make note of that. Cannot. Then he tells you why. For it is folly to him. It's foolishness. All you have to do is turn on any show on the internet or anything, and you find people slamming Christianity. You know why? Because it is folly to them. Go look at 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 14. It is folly to them. So they can't receive these gifts. And it says that he is not able to understand them because they are spiritually discerned. They are spiritually judged. They are spiritually condemned. So unless they have been freed from that judgment, unless they have been freed from that condemnation, unless they have been loosed from the bands of death, they will never understand, and it will only be folly to them. Just like it was for you and me before. How many of us spoke harshly against the truths of the gospel to others and within our own hearts? We all did it before we came to faith. There was a time where we all thought it was stupid. So this makes us understand why it's so important for us to be courageous in our effort to see as many souls saved as possible. Christian, times are short. Be assured of that. 2 more verses and I'll be done. 1 Corinthians 4:7. Because I like doing these verses because I don't like somebody telling me, show me in the word of God where it says that. This is what I hear all the time. No matter how much you show them, they still want you to show them more. 1 Corinthians 4, verse 7. For who sees anything different in you? What do you have that you did not receive? If you then received it, then why do you boast as if it were not a gift? Again, we get back to this issue of man's quote unquote so-called free will. If you have salvation, you have received a gift. It was a gift to you. But if you say that you received this gift because you exercised your free will, you are boasting as though it were not a gift. That is what Paul is saying in 1 Corinthians 4:7. Your salvation that you received, the faith that you received, is not because you made an academic connection, an intellectual connection, not even a natural connection, because you were unnatural, in the flesh, in sin, at